Okay, we've all been there, right? Starting a new job, a new class, basically any new chapter, and it feels like you've been dropped into the middle of the ocean. There's so much coming at you, and you feel this immense pressure to start swimming, and fast. But what if you had a blueprint, a real practical guide to not just stay afloat, but to actually master the transition? Well, that's exactly what we're going to build together today. Let's dive in.
So here's our game plan. We're going to break this down into 3 big ideas. First, we're going to understand the machine, and by that, I mean your brain and why it seems to love getting distracted. Then, we'll build the scaffolding. These are the actual hands-on systems for planning your work and staying focused. And finally, we'll sustain the human, because let's be honest, high performance is useless if you burn out.
All right, first things first, we need to bust a huge myth. We've been sold this idea that being productive looks like that chaotic scribble on the left. Juggling a dozen tasks, grinding for endless hours, constantly looking busy. But that's not reality. True productivity, it's that clean, focused line on the right. It's not about the sheer volume of hours you put in, it's about the impact you create in those hours. It's all about strategic focus, not just frantic energy. Now that sounds great in theory, doesn't it? Just be focused. But if it were that easy, well, we'd all be productivity gurus. So the real question is, why is it so incredibly hard to actually achieve that clean line of focus?
Well, the answer is literally inside your own head. Think of your brain as having 2 competing systems. You've got the top-down system. That's your CEO, your conscious, deliberate focus. It's what you use to tackle a tough problem, but man, it burns a ton of energy. Then you have the bottom-up system. That's your automatic scanner, always looking for something new, shiny, or threatening, like that little notification that just popped up. And here's the crucial part. When you're stressed or tired, your top-down CEO gets weak, and the bottom-up scanner just takes over. Distraction wins.
And when distraction wins over and over, we get stuck right here, in what you might call the procrastination loop. It goes like this. A big, important task makes you feel anxious. So, to escape that feeling, you avoid it, maybe by scrolling through your phone, which gives you this little hit of temporary relief. But then, the anxiety comes roaring back, and it's even worse than before. The way out? It's almost ridiculously simple, the 15-minute rule. Just tell yourself you'll work on that dreaded task for only 15 minutes. Because action is what creates motivation, not the other way around.
Okay, so we've got the diagnosis. Now it's time for the prescription. We need to stop relying on pure willpower and start building a system that makes focus the path of least resistance. I love this idea of a Sushi Belt of Success. It's a complete system where everything you need for peak performance, the right tasks, the right tools, the right mindset, just comes to you at the perfect time. So let's break down how you build one, starting with the absolute foundation.
Your physical environment is, well, it's everything. You've got to train your brain. First, use the Pavlov effect. Have one and only one spot that's just for focused work. No social media, no snacking there. Second, reduce friction. A cluttered desk isn't just messy, it's a huge cognitive load on your brain. Clean it up. Third, use sensory cues. Maybe it's a specific focus playlist or a certain lamp you turn on. These things signal to your brain that it's go time. And last but not least, the phone. Let's be brutally honest here. Distance is the only thing that works. Put it in another room. Seriously.
Okay, let's talk planning. And this one is a bit of a mind-bender. It's the work backward method. See, humans are just awful at guessing how long things will take. So instead of planning from today forward, you start at the final deadline and map out your milestones backward in time. But the absolute genius of this method is what it forces you to do. Always, and I mean always, schedule a buffer week at the end for all the unpredictable stuff life throws at you. This one habit is an absolute stress saver.
So you've got your plan, but what do you actually work on first? This is where the 80-20 rule comes in. It's a fundamental truth that a tiny handful of your tasks, usually about 20%, are going to produce the vast majority of your results, like 80% of them. Your most important job is to become a detective. Figure out what that critical 20% is, and then guard the time you spend on it like a hawk. You have to get ruthless about ignoring the busy work and focusing only on what truly moves the needle.
You know what? Let's make this real. I want you to actually hit pause right now and look at your to-do list for the week. Go on, I'll wait. Now ask yourself, what are the 1 or 2 things on that list that will deliver 80% of the value? Take a second to really identify them, because that's where your best, most focused energy has to go.
And speaking of your best energy, when should you tackle those big, important tasks? Well, not all hours of the day are created equal. You have to work with your body's natural rhythm, not against it. For most young adults, your peak cognitive performance happens around 11 a.m. That's your golden hour. That's when you schedule your most difficult creative work. Don't fight your own biology. Learn to ride the wave. Save the low energy times for simple stuff like checking emails.
Now, when you need to learn something new, remember this: depth beats width every single time. Passively rereading notes for hours is one of the worst ways to learn. Instead, try this 3-step process. First, warm up for 5 minutes with some low-stakes brainstorming to get your brain in the game. Then, do an active analysis. Don't just consume the material, argue with it, ask questions. And then, and this is key, give it time for incubation. Step away, take a walk, let your subconscious mind do the heavy lifting of connecting the dots.
Let's be real. Our biggest battle for focus is against our own devices. These things aren't just distracting, they are precision-engineered attention-hijacking machines. Every buzz, every notification is a little dopamine hit designed to pull you back in. So you have to fight back with your own system. Use website blockers to automate your willpower. Use a digital planner as an external brain so you're not trying to juggle everything in your head. And for the love of all that is holy, use focus mode to shut off those notifications. You have to take back control.
Now, you might look at this slide and think, yeah, the basics. But this is the one we always sacrifice first, and it's the most important. High performance isn't built on hustle. It's balanced on these 3 pillars. These are not optional upgrades. They are the literal fuel for your brain. Sleep isn't lazy. It's when your brain cleans out toxins and cements memories. Your diet directly impacts your energy levels. Movement pumps oxygen to your brain. Pulling an all-nighter isn't a badge of honor. It's just borrowing focus from tomorrow at a very high interest rate. Okay, time for a quick gut check. Take a hard look at these 3 pillars: sleep, diet, and movement, and be really honest with yourself. Which one is your weakest link at this very moment? Is it your sleep schedule? What you're eating? Getting any kind of movement? Just identifying it. That's the first and most powerful step you can take. That's your single biggest leverage point for getting more energy and focus back into your life.
And finally, let's talk about the human side of all this. Starting somewhere new can feel incredibly lonely. But here's a massive insight. That feeling of loneliness isn't a character flaw. It's a biological signal, just like hunger tells you to eat or thirst tells you to drink. It's your brain telling you that you need to connect. So start looking for connections in these 3 areas: convenience friends, like people in your class; interest friends, from clubs or hobbies; and over time, those will grow into the intimate friendships that provide real support.
So, let's pull this all together. Here it is, your final checklist for mastering any new transition. First, design your environment to make focus easy. Second, plan your work by starting from the deadline and working backward. Third, act on your plans by starting small to beat procrastination. And fourth, sustain yourself, because your health and well-being are the engine that powers this entire system.
So there you have it. You have the blueprint now. The entire system is laid out right in front of you. The only question that's left is for you. Looking at this checklist, design, plan, act, or sustain, which of these 4 areas is going to be your #1 priority? That one choice is where your new beginning really starts.